Welcome back to East Coast Wagering. This Saturday at Saratoga is the Grade 1 Travers. We have 8 horses lined up to attempt to win the biggest 3-year-old race post-Triple Crown. It's a very competitive field which includes the winners of both the Kentucky Derby and Preakness, as well as the winners of the Jim Dandy and the Haskell. This race very well could decide the division leader going into the Breeders' Cup, and if none of these 3-year-olds do well in the Classic, it could cinch the title for one of them. So let's break down the field. A couple interesting notes before we look at the field. Of the 8 jockeys in this race, there are combined 0 for 32 lifetime in the Travers. None of them have ever won. And of the trainers, only one has ever been victorious, and that's Brad Cox last year with Essential Quality. Of the 8 horses running this year, 3 of them returned back out of the local prep, the Grade 2 Jim Dandy, including the winner and likely post-time favorite Epicenter. In that race, Epicenter broke last of the 4 and was content to trail the relatively soft fractions being set by early voting. Zandon took up stocking position right off that leader. Turning for home, Epicenter angled out and drove by the other 3 contestants to win by 1.5 lengths. Zandon re-rallied a bit for second, and early voting came up short, fading to last. I'm predicting a similar pace scenario, though some theorize Epicenter may go to the front to avoid traffic troubles. I just don't see it based off his last 3 breaks. I think early voting gets the lead again, but I want no part of him here. I think the track carried him in the Preakness against a field that has ultimately come back a little suspect, with the exception of Epicenter, who had a rough trip that day. Epicenter has a big shot and is a deserving favorite, but it is a talented field, and 7-5 is a very short price that may be shorter at post time. He just has not been breaking well, and with a slow pace and a larger field, he may not be able to rally the way he did in the Jim Dandy. Zandon is interesting, especially at 5-1, but he is 0 for 3 against Epicenter lifetime, and while I don't think he wants to be as close to the pace as he was in his last race, he has to get the jump on Epicenter if he wants to beat that rival. The top 2 finishers from the Travers Stakes, run the day before the Jim Dandy, also come back for this effort. Artorias won that day by stalking in 4th off the pace setters and drawing away to win convincingly in the stretch by over 4 lengths. Gilded Age closed from well back in the field of 8 to get second. Artorias is lightly raced, having not run his first race until this past April, but has won back-to-back and looks to be improving with the added distance. I feel like he's going to take quite a bit of money, more than I think he should actually. The errata tease factor always causes a horse to take a lot of money and usually leads to horses being overbet. With a bit of a price, I may have some interest in Artorias, but I don't think the value will be there. He beat basically nothing in the Curlin, and though he won easily, it was almost 2 seconds slower for the same distance as the Jim Dandy was run the very next day. I believe this one would need to take a big step forward to win this, and he may run underneath given the pace should be favorable to him, but 9-2 is too low for me on this one. Gilded Age is the longest shot at 30-1 morning line, and maybe the mile and a quarter will set up for him to run underneath to possibly hit the back half of the Super, but this horse wants to run from the clouds, and I think the pace is going to be slow. Given the pace and the fact I think this second place effort last out was just a product of passing bad horses and not really that he really showed much run, I don't think he has much of a chance here in this one. The number 1 Cyberknife is second choice on the morning line at 7-2, and I'm wondering and hoping that bettors overlook this one like they have in the past, and those odds drift up a little bit from there. He last out won the Haskell, and I heard a stat the other day that he's the only male horse in this 3-year-old crop with 2 Grade 1 wins. Nest has 3 after her victory in the Alabama last Saturday. In the Haskell, Cyberknife showed a quick burst at the top of the stretch to come up the rail and then held off Taba by a head. I don't love that Taba was able to come back on him once he took the lead, but I do love the versatility of this horse and the turn of foot that he's shown on a couple of occasions. When I broke down the Haskell field, I said people underestimate this horse because he does not win flashy. That still holds true. I think he will be closer to the pace this Saturday than he was in the Haskell, and I really like his chances. I'm hoping he continues to be overlooked because I think he runs big again, and I'm going to love getting a nice price on this one if I can again. The Kentucky Derby winner Rich Strike breaks from post 2, and while you're going to get a nice price on this one, it's going to be nowhere near the 80-1 you got on him on Derby Day. Word is that this horse has been working out great, but they said the same thing prior to the Belmont, and he showed nothing that day, finishing 6th and never threatening at all. The connections also said he doesn't like to run outside of horses, so they will keep him inside against the rail. Maybe that's true, but at this point, it just feels like the connections are just making up odd excuses to justify a bad effort in the Belmont. Let's say it is true, though. Is it worth taking a chance that the horse coming from the back of the pack will be able to ride the rail the whole race and an opening will appear for him? The horse has done absolutely nothing outside of his 2 wins at Churchill Downs, and the Derby pace set the race up perfectly for his closing kick. He won't get the blistering fractions he saw in the Derby here in the Travers. He was a complete throwout for me in the Belmont, and I still feel the same here in this race. The final entry is another big price on the morning line. Aint Life Grand is 20-1 and takes a big step up in class in this one after winning in back-to-back efforts at Prairie Meadows, including the Iowa Derby seen here. He beat a very nice horse that day in Conager, who won next out, but Conager was up front pressing the very fast fractions and just couldn't hold off as Aint Life Grand rallied well in the stretch to get up. This is a very ambitious spot for a horse that has only run once outside of Prairie Meadows, and while I respect the connections taking a chance, I don't think this horse has much of a chance of winning. I do think he will be a little closer to the pace. In fact, I expect him to be sitting second or possibly third early. Given that I don't like early voting's chances, I'll play this one underneath to possibly get by the pace setter, but just not quite be able to hold off some of the classier horses in this field. So here's the way I'm going to bet this race. In my multi-leg bets, I'm going to use 3 horses: Cyberknife, Epicenter, and Zandon. I'm also going to bet a super, and I'm going to try to beat the favorite, because while I do think he is the horse to beat, I do question how he's been breaking lately, and I think others could get the jump on him. I'll use Cyberknife and Zandon on top. I'll roll those 2 to second and add Epicenter. Then I'll do the same thing, roll those 3 to third, and add Aint Life Grand. And then I'll take all 4 of those, put them in fourth, and add Artorias. For a $1 bet, that super is only $16. So that's how I see the Travers this year. It is possible that Epicenter could go off the big favorite and just cruise to victory, finally getting that first Grade 1 win. But I really like Cyberknife a lot. He's been running well since the Derby, and he does get overlooked, so you're going to get better odds on him than what you should. Zandon's worth a look as well, as I said. He came up a little flat in the Jim Dandy, but I think he had a little bit of an excuse since he had not run since the Kentucky Derby. Those are my top 3, and I'm going to be using primarily them, and there are a couple in here I just really don't have much interest in at all. Let me know in the comments section what you think. Are those your top horses, or are you on one of these others? And please remember to subscribe to my videos if you like my content. This is Jeremy Pielmeyer for East Coast Wagering. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.